Want to paint portraits like a pro? Here are 5 tips that'll take you from portrait novice to portrait pro in 5 minutes. Stay tuned.
Portrait Domination.
All right, guys, Anthony Baxton, Portrait Dominations here. Today we're going to take some time to go over my 5 tips to help you dominate portraits for life. Let's get to it. Tip number 1, use the best materials that you can afford. For my paints, I normally use the Rembrandt brand that we see here. Just basically because of the consistency, the luminosity, and the pigment concentration of the brand. It's really phenomenal. I know you'll love it if you get a chance. Check it out. Your brushes are important also if you're a painter. You don't have to get the most expensive brushes out there, obviously, but you want to make sure that you have a nice variety of brushes. You want to have synthetics, you want to have natural, and basically just a full variety so that you can learn which brushes work best for you. Tip number 2 is never trace. Never, ever trace, guys. Now, you see a lot of artists on YouTube, they'll start their videos and they'll already have the drawing laid out on the surface. 9 times out of 10, they've traced that drawing onto their surface and they're just shading it and blending it in the end. Don't do that, guys. A better alternative than tracing or using a projector would be one that I teach my students to use all the time, and that's the grid. That's the best thing for beginning portrait artists to use to develop hand-eye coordination. There's nothing like it. So if you get a chance, check out the grid method. If you're not familiar with it, you can stop on over to portraitdomination.com and you can check out some of our training. All right, tip number 3 is use better references. You never want to paint a portrait from a poor reference. The best reference, of course, would always be life. Life gives you more information to draw your drawing or painting conclusions from. So it's always better to try your best to work from a live model as much as possible. If you don't have access to a live model, you can always use photographs. I choose to take my own photographs so that I know that the quality of the photo, the pose, and the lighting is exactly like I wanted before I actually get in the studio to complete the finished portrait. All right, so tip number 4 is practice, practice, practice. You have to sketch daily to become a better artist. This is the only way that you'll ever determine where your strengths and weaknesses lie. And that's what you have to know to be able to analyze yourself, to become a better portrait artist. So guys, you have to practice, practice, practice. And tip number 5 is find a mentor as soon as possible. It's so critical that you have someone that you're following or someone that you can get advice from that will allow you not to have to come into portrait painting or come into developing your skill and your craft and reinvent the wheel. And of course, here at Portrait Domination, we've got you guys covered. If you have any questions about portraiture, whether it's portrait drawing or portrait painting, different mediums, any questions that you have or anything that you don't understand about portraiture, you can drop a comment down below and I'll personally make sure that I get back to you with an answer to help you dominate portraits like a pro.
We take some time to examine our reference in comparison to our composition. We can see a fairly strong likeness shining through. And this started from the first step. You just didn't have the artistic talent or weren't born with an artistic eye. If you're one of many people who've fallen for this philosophy, I have really, really good news for you. The truth is, artists aren't born, we're created.
And I made sure that I got tons of references to bring back to the studio to finish this painting. Of course, nothing's better than working from life because life allows you to have more information to draw your painting conclusions with. But